Hey everyone, this is the Kubeflow Notebooks meeting for the 24th of July. This meeting is about a mixture of things from Notebooks V1 to V2 and the dashboard and other components. I mean, we all are kind of somehow maintaining all those things, but it's good. If you don't know about Notebooks V2 though, it's the thing that most people are probably here for. It's the rewrite of Kubeflow notebooks. It's going to live in it lives in the Kubeflow/notebooks repo under that branch for now, but it's going to change at some point to the main branch. It's a full rewrite. It's going to be way better. We've been working on it for a long time, honestly years at this point, but we're getting close to be able to release it, which is exciting. If you want to contribute, this is the right place to be. Okay, there is a roadmap, which is really just overall like conceptual roadmap, not specific tasks. We kind of track specific tasks in the meeting, as you'll see. I always ask this, if you are a Kubeflow user as like an end user or an adopter in the sense that you sell it on the platform or like Red Hat or other things like that. So if you go to this file here, which is under the Kubeflow notebooks repo, and add yourself as adopters for notebooks, or if you are, you can just raise a PR. Everyone's welcome to do that. If you're overall using the project, there's other adopters files for each component as well. There is one for overall, but my suggestion is push yourself towards these ones. And obviously there's lots of components of Kubeflow, which is great. If anyone, I don't think we have time for the new people today, but if there's someone who wants to say hi, feel free to do so in the chat maybe. I want to just kick it off to Kimono so that he can talk about this dashboard thing.
So yeah, as we were saying, this is our tracking issue for the V1 release. We have all of the PRs. The main ones I wanted was to at least for the CI, for how to at least have it in a healthy state for what we trigger and how are the testing files split. So we have PRs for almost all of those. So at this point, mostly the pending items is I wanted to wait a bit for the discussion for the namings, but from what it looks like, we'll go with what we had with the V2 and those names for the component changes. I think it's the define release artifacts, the 118.
Oh, oops, sorry. 118.
118.
That one.
So for anyone that joins first the discussion at the end.
So we're agreeing that V2 is the logical number?
Let's go with that.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think it's fine because it's a breaking change to move it. That's what my perspective is. So yeah.
My only small concern is for the pod defaults webhook. If someone is upgrading, how to then they need to carefully just remove the deployments and the service accounts, because Julius proposed that for the pod defaults webhook, we change the name of the deployment as well.
I would love to do that. Some of the names are a bit crazy of the deployments. Part of me wonders if we should, yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting question, right? Like, we're going to be changing the manifests anyway. So is it better to just do one that's fully compatible and then do a change in a.
I think at the end of the day, still people will face this exact same problem sooner or later. So I think since we're doing the other changes, I think it's okay to do it now.
Yeah, we're going to be doing two big changes. That's my only concern. Anyway, but it's like, if we're changing that, whatever you do, all I ask is that you please document it very carefully. You know what I mean? That's the only thing I ask.
Most probably we'll need also, I'm thinking of doing it at least in the release notes, but do you think if I have other ideas?
We probably need a migration. So the problem is I would love to have had, we can still do it, I guess, the auth stuff as well. You know what I mean? Where it's like, here's a migration guide from the old deployment method to this. You know what I mean? Like it's,
that can be a first thing. Actually, what we do, we create some scripts as well in the new component directory that we say, hey, if you had a previous cluster, run this script that will go and delete what needs to get deleted.
Part of me thinks, isn't there a way in Kustomize to identify positively a specific resource as being a lineage of another resource? Like, what I mean by that is like, renaming a resource is problematic for many reasons. So maybe that's not possible, but like deployment specifically because the pod 10 template comes out of it. But because it is, like, to be clear, it is possible in Kustomize to track resources, but since pod default, since none of that is stateful, really, I don't think it's a huge deal, honestly. I think it's best to just say run delete on the old one and then run create on the new one. You know what I mean? I think that's probably the step we should suggest.
Yeah, but not delete everything, because deleting everything will delete the CRD, which could take down the pod defaults and users namespace. So we need to only delete like the deployment and the service accounts, and not all of the previous manifests.
Well, what are you renaming? Because also, are we renaming any of the other pieces? Because there's some weirdness going on with other pieces as well.
We had only in mind for pod defaults, at least for component wise and deployments.
Because like just for reference, we don't need to talk about it technically now, but I just want to say one thing that on the other ones, what we're doing is, for example, in every other part of Kubeflow's new manifest, at least v2 and model registry and stuff, what we're doing is kind of adding like a prefix to the name. So like we have the deployments just have a basic name in the customize, and then have like a name prefix in the root customize for that app. You know what I mean? Like notebooks or dashboard or
Okay.
and then we add labels that are common to all that as well, so that each app, because like that's the other thing, like I do kind of want the apps to be like name Kubeflow notebooks, or in the case of this dashboard, and then component, you know, the component label for each one is one that's specific to each one. But
Yeah, so that with the names you can just filter out and know which belongs to which. It's just that at some point I don't want us to also try to get anything in it. So
which is why I'm like, maybe we shouldn't change anything. That's kind of my, you know what I mean? Like, but then I don't know. But then we're losing a chance to do a migration that's obviously a migration. That's the only. Anyway, cool. What's blocking here? Anyway.
So that's it. And our friends from Red Hat also did some of the PRs for migrating the CI, so we can also have it to cut the release. The only pending item will be to just set up the permissions with the GHCR. But I first, to be honest, would like to see the CI working, trying to publish things as expected.
Oh, no, to be clear, it will succeed. So be very clear. Like you or I need to do a manual push first so that we become the owner.
Okay. Okay,
so,
then let's do
that. Whatever the first thing to try push is, we'll take ownership of it. And we don't want the bot to take ownership of it.
Okay, now I'm fully in sync.
Yeah. So you or I, or like, so I don't have time to do it, but if you do it, please add me as an admin to it. That's all as I ask. It's very tedious because you have to edit it every time, but just do that. And then change its visibility to public as well.
Okay, I'll poke you also in Slack. I think I got what we need to do, but in case there's something is not clear.
And there's one other thing I suggest you do is, now that we have these label automation things, just so that it helps people, let's create a label for each component, and then add an owner's file under each component that sets the label automatically so that the PRs warn you when things change. So
I might need to ask. Interesting. I'm not aware of it. I might ask some questions later on.
Yeah.
And I can help with that too, Kimonos, because I literally watched Matthew get it.
I also just did it in the website as well. So what it does is it just means that every PR, and I've also started doing the thing where we and just for reference, I don't do it yet on any of Notebook's ones, but certain labels I've made red, so that if a PR changes certain areas of the code, it shows up with a red label being like, just, this is serious, you need to look at this. You know what I mean? Like, so, like, for example, on the website, anything that changes the styling of the website gets that, because people have persistently kept breaking the style of the website.
So that's it for the dashboard, and mostly heads up, because I didn't join the last call, is that I will create most probably today or tomorrow at least some blank issues for the Notebooks v1 migration, just for some of the procedural stuff to keep the ball rolling for that as well.
Okay, cool. Do you have enough people? Everything's good to continue? How long do you think it will be before you can cut a release?
To be honest, I would hope like end of next week that we have the release.
So what does that mean for you? Does that mean just having cut it, or does that mean documenting it as well and having people actually be able to use it?
It means having the release published in GitHub with, if we do the migration to pod defaults, at least the bare minimum, having a script and a report of saying how to do the migration, what to delete, and what to do.
I think you need to have that either way, because I think you should change the labels. I think like so my request at let's do it that way. You know what I mean? So then we can say delete the old one effectively. Okay.
Oh, you mean to just create the owner's file so that the
because I enabled a feature in Prowl that lets you just add a labels colon section to every owner's file. Anyway, so the other thing is this, which is what I was saying, was that let's use consistent labels, name and component in the customize of the new manifests. Effectively, like, migration from old manifests should be delete them, possibly ignoring some resources like the CRD, then create new one, then apply new manifests which can change names of anything, which I think you should do, which we should do to clean up names like names of SA, deploy, service, etc. You know what I mean? Like, my proposal is just like be consistent. So like have a root label, and then we start from scratch. You know what I mean? Effectively, and say delete the old one.
That could take a bit more time just to make sure that we iron this out, how it is, review, etc. But let's see.
Yeah, I think it shouldn't be too bad, but I just think it's worth doing, because then it means that we get the, like, so effectively we get the root tracking labels be the same. Because you have to do this either way. Like, you're literally, because of what you said, you're gonna have to ask the people to do this anyway. So, like,
by labels, I didn't have in mind that we would change like a lot of. We can start a discussion in the issue and the threads to discuss more, but I'm curious on what other components, like for admission webhook, it is obvious that we will have new labels, but you had in mind for other components.
No, I mean, like, literally just, I don't know, we don't have time to show it now. Let's talk about it offline. Okay, so.
Cool. So yeah, that's me. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you very much for your work there. Exciting. It's going to also help unblock the release of the other things. Let's keep going. So graduation. I don't know. It is not here about talking about this. We have some. Does anyone know what the status of this is on this SSF badge, or?
Yeah, Eder said he was going to raise some questions for you, Matthew, because he wasn't sure on some stuff. He has been working through it, but then he needed some other input, I think, is where that stands.
Yes. Okay, I imagine it's probably about these vulnerability things. Okay, cool. I don't know what's happening there, so let's keep on going. I'm going to skip over these things, but that's the migration. That's actually what this was. I'm just going to move this under that. Okay. Let's keep going. Okay, so anything else for 1.0 before we move on? Okay. So, what's happening, Andy, with your V2 stuff, with the tracking updates mainly first?
Yeah, do you mind if I share screen really quick?
Yeah, that's fine. I'm just going to stop sharing. How do I stop?
Let's see. Oh, that's named desktop 1. Interesting. Okay, so a few different things to talk about here. Let me get this stupid banner out of the way. So I have taken a stab, Matthew. I didn't see this all the way through, but just in making the working group's notes a little easier to work with here, I've kind of refactored it into a couple different tabs to help us kind of progress through this meeting. So there'll be hopefully less scrolling and easier identification. So we have this overview tab that covers all kind of just like general stuff that kicks off the meeting. That then runs into the standing items tab, which are kind of more long-running things that we want to track progress on throughout the call. This epic report is me, now that we have good consistent labels in GitHub linking this, I have a script that auto-generates. I'm not pretending that this format is pretty right now, but we could change it to whatever. So I could just run this before the call and drop this in here once we get this skinned in a way that we like the presentation. So we don't have people having to come in and manually curate this when GitHub is really the source of truth anyway. And then we have this really simple template that you can then just duplicate before the call. And then I did actually move some of these past meeting notes, here. So then like each week we could have just the stand up from people's contributions broken out here. with a thought then that, you know, you can only have 100 tabs in a Google Doc. So the thought would be then we could just archive yearly, right? Where, you know, we would need to like update this bit.ly link. But if we're happy with this structure, then I can go start to break this stuff down, right? And so we always have a current one, but then other Google Docs pointing to 2023 if it exists, 2024, 2025. And then it still captures the overall flow of what we're doing. But you know what I mean? It's a little bit easier, I think, for newcomers to find relevant information. So I'll kind of pause there on the working group doc, kind of moving things around first.
I don't think we need to have separate tabs for each day unless they're like, because just it makes it harder to search. That's my only problem, right? Is it because I don't know if you can search across tabs, but we can, that the rest of it makes sense. I forgot about tabs existing. We do for old repos. Sorry, for the community notes, we already have the idea of archives, so that makes sense. And I guess you could just link it as, I don't even know, right? Because how easy is it to create a new tab? That's, yeah, I mean, based off like a the only thing I'm not sure about is just having the stand-ups in in their own tab. That's my only kind of maybe.
Okay, yeah, I mean that's totally fine. We could just do you know, single one, and because you know these things are section headers, so you can actually.
So that's a stand-up. I see what you're saying. Okay, interesting. So where do we put things that are for like things that we talked about that are? It's like not every item is a standing item. Some are, but I guess actually a lot of them are in our context. Yeah.
So, and I guess but I think the other thing you're hinting at here, right, kind of goes into then me kind of, so I've taken all, you know, whatever, crunched all the data from our working group notes and our design document, and I have a list of epics here that then encapsulate everything. And, you know, this is too deep to get to fully on this call. But my hope would be that, like, you know, we can talk about this at some point, kind of agree on this. And this is kind of like sequential, right? Like if you look at where we're at in our current cycle, we're pretty much, some stuff isn't completed yet, but we're kind of in this phase right now of things we're actively looking at. And so the thought would be a lot of these like kind of design thoughts and notes that we have in the working group meeting notes right now that kind of makes it so busy. I just start crunching to actually get epics and at least features out of the working group notes and actually into these epics. So like that's where they live. Because ideally we want a lot of this stuff in GitHub for when the time comes to start to work. And so a lot of the things that you're talking about, I would propose we actually get into at least epics and features, if not breaking them down into tasks because they're future work, and actually keep that information there in GitHub.
Interesting. I mean, yeah, I mean, I mean, as long as my only concern about things where there's lots of different mirrorings of stuff is that obviously someone has to keep it in line with the reality.
Yes, and so I'm volunteering. If we're okay with this, I can start kind of like crunching on this and, you know, making sure to kind of highlight. I'll copy the existing state of working group notes so I can add comments to like this idea on design or implementation is now being tracked as part of, you know, feature XYZ of this epic, right? Because I definitely don't want to lose stuff. But I think a lot of the notes would be better served in epics, so they're all there as we're going to plan.
But the content of the epic isn't that meant to be on GitHub? Why is there like a whole user story and notes thing here?
Oh, because this is just me getting my thoughts together, right? So no, all of this would go to GitHub. I just didn't want to start creating stuff or renaming stuff until I started to share this with people. So no, GitHub is the source of truth. This is like
this table isn't going to exist. Is that what you're
What's
saying?
that?
This table isn't going to exist. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. No, this is just, I'm just sharing so you can kind of understand my mindset. But the thought would be to get all of this reflected in GitHub, and then any design and implementation notes we have in the meeting notes actually in relevant features or epics where they belong. But as I look through it, these kind of epics cover everything that we've covered. I just haven't now started to like create stuff to really see it, but I wanted to get a general vote of confidence before I started.
I mean, we might need to make sure we're grouping things carefully. I don't know if there's like, there's a lot of epics there, you know what I mean? So like, I wonder if things could be grouped, you know?
The other great observation, the other thing that's quasi controversial that I did here is because it's getting confusing, like I don't think long-running epics are helping us right now, and that can absolutely be a controversial point. And so these epics here, there are more of them because I'm trying to align them much tighter to like significant features, because it's getting difficult with, I think, kind of these expansive long-running epics. When is it closed or not? I think if at least while we march towards an initial GA, if we have much more specific targeted epics, it even becomes easier for you to understand what should I look at? Because if Epic 1 isn't closed, any PRs related to that is our top of priority. And then we want to close that and move on. So I think smaller epics, until we get to like this like initial release standpoint, helps us coordinate the work. And then we can go to, when we have a more stable foundation and kind of an initial complete vision, if we want to go to long running epics, that's fine. I just feel like it causes more planning and confusion right now on what's most prioritized, as we have multiple expansive epics, like it's not as clear. And so the ordering of these epics, I did spend a lot of time in that, like, this is like, if Epic 1 is not closed, it, you know, reviews and merging of those PRs should come before Epic 2. And so this kind of sequences the work.
Right. I mean, that's fine. As long, the only reason we were using epics before was kind of as a, well, it forces us to talk about like reasons for things existing, obviously, and then group features under there, and then group work, which don't have specific work items, and then have work items under the features. But the thing that I think we do need to do then is change it from epics having owners to areas of the project having owners, and then assign areas to each epic. So like if, but someone does need to be the primary owner to actually curate the tasks and epics and work items. So like, rather than, because like it was kind of what we were effectively doing anyway. But like, so if it's a front end one, whoever does front end stuff does that, or whatever. If eventually we have sub areas of the front end, right? So
yeah, and I'm sorry, my contractor's here, so I got it. What a terrible
okay,
mic
go.
drop moment, but I will be back.
Okay, cool. Well, that's good to know, I guess. How long do you think you'll be?
Hopefully like 20 minutes. I'll come back and let you know.
Okay, cool. Do you
Hey,
stop
Rick,
sharing?
sorry, 1 second.
Or... Okay, cool. Well, I'm going to. Anyone else have any thoughts about this? I guess while I'm going to share my screen again, but so I think pretty much all we're trying to do here is make it so that we can keep track of what's going on. I think the general idea is still to use GitHub mostly as the source of truth. The issue is just like it's getting out of hand to try and keep track of what's going on or who's doing what. So I don't know if we need to have that many epics. I think that might be too many. But the only thing that I want to do is let's make sure that we have area owners, I guess, if we're going to start having epics, that because we were just using this to have defined areas previously, you know, to some extent. So probably it makes sense to use them as actual epics. Commandus, do you want to be involved in any of these V2 epics or not? Muted.
I'm muted. I would say let me first wrap up with the migration, so then I'm fully happy too, but I don't want to overstretch myself and not end up with mediocre work in both.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. That's good. Makes sense. And also it does block the V2 anyway, so it's important. Cool. The migration of the dashboard. Okay. That's cool. I think we'll see what he says when he comes back, but I'm pretty sure that the main thing is just improving how we run the meetings and structure the epics. I think my goal would be to get the epics down a bit. So I don't know if anyone else from, I don't think he's here. Okay, so there was, in terms of items that are blocking stuff, from what I understand, there's been a lot of stuff going on with. Does anyone want to talk about? Actually, no, we won't do that. Let's just go down the stand up while we're here. Rather than so. Yeah, okay, cool. Okay, so, because I'll let Andy talk about the specific state of the overall project. So who wants to go first? Jenny? Actually, maybe do you want to talk about the logo first? Because I think there's some movement there.
Yes, there has been. So Andre sent us a bunch, like a few different proposed logos in the channel, but that's the one that we decided on, especially in this working group meeting. So yeah, have there been any updates in the ticket apart from that? I think that was the last status on that.
I think there was, but let me confirm. Okay, cool. So in terms of that, is that the exact one, or is that's not the exact one, right? Because they sent back their own ones, right?
It's gonna look a little different, and it's gonna have notebooks as the verbiage, as we agreed. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'll just quickly check what's happening there. Request. It is logo for workspaces. Okay. They said. Yeah, so they sent that Acrobat thing. So yeah, they sent a few actually. Some of them are kind of cool, by the way, and some of the ones they sent. I'll share that screen. Let me just show you. So like, this is what they sent out of interest. People want to see. So that was the. I don't know why this is so zoomed in, but how do I zoom out? Oh, that makes it worse. There we go. Okay, so yeah, I mean, I don't know which one you selected. I wasn't really looking, but that's fine. And then, so this is the other one they sent, and this kind of thing. I mean, this is cooler. I like this. Looks interesting, but it's not quite right. But it just looks cool. Yeah, I mean, I wonder if it needs to still be more abstracted than this. I don't know how well this would look as a very small logo. You know what I mean? I don't know if that's recognizable, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe do we? Because I think we should iterate with them a little bit. If you know what I mean. Is that what happened, or?
So that's what we decided on, just based on our last discussions. And you mentioned that the GPU imagery would be good to have there. So that's what that first one there is what we went with, and that was a collaborative effort with some designers as well.
I'm
So
still. That's great. I just what do they actually want from us then?
just so yeah, I just confirmed as our discussion, since that first one was what we agreed on, like as a working group from our last discussion. So I just confirmed that. So now we're just waiting on that official logo for them to send us.
Yeah, I don't know. Does this? I still think they might need to format it slightly differently. It's my only concern. It's like it's because I don't think that will work as a favicon. You know what I mean? Like you'd end up with effectively a very small number of pixels as the. It would effectively become a white blob in the middle, with 48 pixels. That's my only concern. But yeah. Okay, I mean, either way, we'll probably will need to iterate with them over the final material anyway. I don't know. They'll probably notice that when they try to do that. So I don't know, but I don't worry. We'll see what they do. Okay.
Yeah, it's good progress for the meantime. It's better than nothing. So yeah, we're
that's
moving
cool.
forward on that, and we're pushing that ahead. So that's definitely a win there. Thank
Cool.
you.
Yep. Internally, they said they passed on to their team. I don't know what that means, but I guess we'll follow up there. Did they talk at all in the Slack with us? I didn't have a time to check.
So Andre just sent us those things,
Okay.
and yeah, I can forward you that. I can just ping you there.
Yeah.
Copy you on it as well.
Yeah, I was wondering, maybe we should message on there being like, hey, like if you find it's difficult to make an icon version of it, like we can iterate. You know what I mean? Like that's like, yeah.
That sounds good.
I'll just message that to them. For logo is quite complex, as fine details. If we find it challenging to make a icon size version of the icon, let's do some iteration with your design team to make it slightly more generic. Like, what's the wrong word? Like abstract. Less fine lines. Okay, cool. I think they will struggle to do it either way. So it's like you only got like 40 pixels. Okay, cool. We'll just see what they do. Okay. Let's keep going. Is there anything else about that stuff?
Nope.
Cool. Okay. Do you want to go first for the stand-up then?
Sure. Yeah. So yeah, just to give a quick update on the UX enhancements that have been going in. So that's been a collaboration with Tal and Kyle on the UX team as well. So we're working on a handoff there to make those UX enhancements go in. So a couple of those have been to the workspace kind screen and also to for just general text and navigation consistency throughout the application. So those are in PR or either have been merged. And then no blockers there, and continuing for the next 2 weeks, we'll just be continuing to refine that design to developer handoff, and then continuing to work on those UX enhancements as they are identified and as new features come in.
Is anything blocking? So you're not blocked right now? That's good.
Nope.
Okay, cool. Oh, Andy's back. So maybe we'll jump back to what he was talking about. Thank you. So in terms of next steps there, we just need to agree what epics are then, right? So I think there's a lot of epics you were listing there. Is because the reason for making epics was to, like, we had them here, like, you know, some of them were kind of very generic, but, you know, for the ones that were less generic, we started kind of getting out of hand, I think, actually. But, like, be able to connect to a thing is not really an epic, it's more of a feature. But I guess it is an epic. So what is changing from the existing epics? Are we making new ones, or are we making...
Yeah, so my thought would be for a few of these, I would just rename them. But like I said, I think like the epic feature task structure still works. It's just for these items up through, you know, KubeCon or our initial GA, there's probably only going to be 1, maybe 2 features in there, right? But I still think epic feature task has its place and it's good. But I just think because of the amount of like discrete features we just like need to deliver, shrinking that scope right now is beneficial. So, you know,
But an epic's like an outcome, right? Like there can't be that many wide-reaching outcomes for the release, right? Like
if we go back to, and sorry, I'll put this in somewhere that it's more easily consumed, right? But if we kind of like talk through this, right? So it's like create workspace kind, connect to workspace, update workspace, deploy, open SSF1, Swagger is source of truth, update workspace kinds, monitoring basic usage, managing lifecycle, which is redirects and restart, workspace failures, this is logs events, GPU cluster usage, culling, front-end selectors, workspace table hardening. This is kind of like a cheap one because I know there's a few things we want to do on the workspaces table. Workspaces details hardening. This is like the right pullout panel that has front-end and back-end work. Bulk actions at the workspace level, and then similar ones for workspace kind. Management of dependent resources. This is around creating volumes and secrets that right now we assume must already be pre-existing. Customize icons and logos, API hardening, migration guide, right? So it's like, I would say, like, yes, those are granular, but like all of those things are mentioned or discussed in meeting notes or our design doc. And like I said, I think those focused epics really like make it easier and obvious to track how we are progressing in delivering an MVP product.
I feel like if we're gonna have that many, because like, okay, if we think about one, like a feature under there, because like originally the epic is like a user story, which like I guess you can have user stories for most of those, and then features are like deliverable things with outcomes for those, which I guess you could have, you know, if you say we talk about the details page of the workspace, it's pretty clear. You could be like the ability to see the logs or ability to see something. The tasks obviously still make sense there as well. So my only concern is making sure that that needs like a Gantt chart at that point, honestly. That's too many to see in a small, like in a big table. That's not the ordering and stuff there becomes very hard to see. So there is the ability to do Gantt charts, I believe, in GitHub, or we could do it on somewhere else. But I think
my poor man's thought to that, and again, welcome for feedback from the community here. I'm not pretending I have this as a solved problem. Is just to like add like a different kind of like, you know, epic in focus label, right? Where yes, right now we're probably going to have 7 different epics labeled as in focus, but ideally in a healthy state, we should only have 2 or 3 of these things kind of in, you know, quote unquote in focus, and use like that milestone doc we have to maybe then delineate the actual order of these.
Well, you can do it just literally by...
We are thinking about this sequentially, it's just not codified.
You can literally just create a roadmap on here and like filter by epic and then just give them a date. Like, you could, I guess. I don't know. That might be a way to do it. I mean, timelines slip, obviously, but yeah, it's
yeah. So the time aspect I'm avoiding right now. It's more so just like, I would like to treat once we have this, like, and again, if we need to change the ordering of this, I'm not beholden to say that this is the order. This is an order that made sense to me, but we can certainly
but some
iterate on
things happen in
this
parallel.
asynchronously.
That's what I think the most important thing to quantify is. So like, I think trying to do orders does make sense. Like trying to, if we're gonna have that many epics, is kind of what I'm saying. Like I think you can do it in this view. You should be able to edit this one, I believe. But like the epic, is this what we would be using?
I don't know if I can. I'm a newbie on Zoom. I don't know how to see if you're sharing.
You can see my
Oh,
screen.
yeah, there we go. Now I got it. Yes.
Sorry, so everyone else can see, right? Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. You can just do this, and then you can add a date here, start end date on. I just filtered by label epic.
Ah, beautiful.
So yeah, let's okay, if we're gonna make epics for them, let's at least do that because it's gonna get impossible to keep track
Yes.
of otherwise. It's just literally gonna be impossible. And so then the second one would be making sure that each one has an owner assigned. But then the problem is they need to actually own the epic as well, right? Like the actual issue, because they need to be able to edit it. So, I mean, we can go through and agree that with each one if you would like, and then if you want to just go do that. The problem is then you have to create them, and then how does?
So I was contemplating actually building on top of our / commands to do a reauthor command that would more or less clone the issue for a given user and preserve all the hierarchy of stuff, but just reopen it as them.
Kind of just gonna make this really hard there.
But I mean, quite honestly, if I just get the epics created and we get those sub-issue PRs merged, I don't think like that's as much of a problem. If someone can, you know what I mean? Like,
as long as the description does, most of the information will be in the sub-issue thing.
right. So if we get the sub-issue PR merged such that people can just do /add sub-issue /remove sub-issue, yes, if someone needs to edit the epic, they can reach out to me and I will happily make those changes, but it's only for the description and like user story aspect that we're talking about. If we get the sub-issue stuff merged, then it's a lot easier for someone to flesh out stuff underneath there.
Yeah, and we can, since we are labeling by area as well, we can filter by kind, epic, and other things as well. Okay, yeah. Cool. Let's and then hopefully under here you can actually create a sliced view, I imagine. But okay, yeah. So I mean we can go through separately and agree on that. Does anyone disagree with, so again, the goal here is still just to remove most of this tracking stuff from the doc, right? That's the goal.
Right, and just get it like, and I'm trying to capture all of this. It's not losing any information, it's just getting it out of this doc and in GitHub.
So the other part is that there is a benefit to having a meeting standing thing. I don't want to go away from having these, not this specifically. We can link off to other places, but like maybe view the Gantt chart on the video or something. But like I don't want to go away from being able to have notes about takeaways from specific things each day. So like standing items can be something, but the problem is if we ever write notes under standing items, we lose. If we can't write notes, for example, about dashboard progression, we can't write like, oh, what did we agree to do today? Like things that we thought were important.
Right. So I added this prioritize in my stand-up template, my prioritized discussion thing, which is for the daily, these types of daily discussions or weekly discussions.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, well, we can work on that formatting later. Let's so like the main thing to do is get these epics, I think, in, and then use that. So like let's try and do one step at a time. So let's try and get let's keep the weekly thing here, and then let's just replace all the sections above here, except maybe the standing item one, which I don't think we even have.
Yep.
Let's really just try and get rid of this whole.
So right, it's taking all of these work streams and all this stuff and just getting it into GitHub. And there might be some of the stuff is kind of like hypothetical, or we should think about this in the future. I will preserve that.
We make a backlog then. We just make a backlog, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Cool.
Yes.
If everyone agree with that, at least then we can have a central source of truth. For now, I guess we'll try and make so bots can do things, I guess. But it was, yeah, cool with / commands if we can. But okay. now that comes back to the actual what is the current state. So let's keep going. Okay, anyone got any ideas here? Sorry, feel free to, people can say what they want. Okay, if not, type in chat. Okay, so now let's try and understand before we, so what's going to actually happen to the ones that we think are important for this month and next month and stuff. So what's actually going to happen for these kind of goals? Like we kind of are doing this right now. What's this mean? I guess that becomes the dates on the thing. So we should just prune the dates on the epics beginning of every meeting should be that.
Yes.
Okay, cool. And then epic owners should be talking to their epics that are currently in the current works.
Yes.
Active, I guess. Okay, cool. Any other things I was thinking? So standing items we can, yeah, these are kind of not really used anymore.
Some of these standing items are actually really just issued, like, you know, epics that need to get written up, right? So some of this stuff just becomes naturally epics and features.
Yep. Okay. Let's just now go through and see what's blocking people to get these done. So let's agree what the current, even we haven't got it written out yet in a nice way, but these are still going to be the current goals, which is for the end of this month, we would like to get it deployable. Of course, that may not be possible if we don't release the dashboard thing soon, but the, what's blocking this? So, well, I guess what's blocking the first one, obviously some of this is my stuff, but, I don't want to go through specifics, but I'm just saying, so like what's,
right, so it's the secrets PR and the start stop API PR. Start stop API is been retested, reworked, ready to merge.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we'll talk about that after this meeting, I guess. Then is there anything else to be able to close out this one?
No, it's just those two pieces.
So how do we highlight that? It's will this close this epic or not?
I will. So yeah, part of this is going through to make sure as I start to rework these epics, I've been taking notes myself on what close criteria should be. So
by the way, I can temporarily give you the ability to edit other people's things if you want.
Okay, we can call. I want to make sure you're comfortable with that, and that's not going to give anybody issues.
Actually, I may not be able to do that. Damn it. Actually, I need to ask commanders, we should ask them to make we should ask Andre to make us an admin on the repo. Yeah, I'll get him to do that. So that I can temporarily make people, give people an access. Okay, cool. Let's okay, so May, that's pretty much just blocked by me, then that's fine. Then this one, me reviewing and merging 2 PRs from other people. So now this one is,
so I think this one, like I said, once we I'll have to see what these current epics in GitHub are, but I think the spirit of this, as we said, kind of if we move validate to a later epic, we could close this now, right? Because epic update is its own thing, validate is its own thing, and so then we do have create working front end and back end merged.
I'm not sure about listing workspace kinds been finished though.
I have a separate future epic that encapsulates the auth changes that we had discussed around the.
We need to actually make the UI for it though. Well, but yeah. It's just a table right now.
Yes. Is there, so sorry, I guess I don't understand.
I guess the question, this is definitely not finished. What I'm saying is for an admin to be happy enough to actually use the workspace kind page, they need to have a little bit more detail than would currently be available even in the API, I think.
Okay.
But that's okay. Then this one though, connect. I don't know if that's actually going to happen. I mean, it's not even done this month, but what is that? So this connect thing. Okay, I guess that's going to be a question for Hashad. I guess what's happening there.
So from my side, because of all the changes, I at least opened the pull request for now in the draft mode. I'm continuing to add so that it's the first one which has the virtual service, and last time, as we discussed, I need to make the CRD changes to put the port and then update this one. So I'm continuing with that.
Cool. Okay.
I hope you heard me right. Yeah. Perfect.
Okay. Cool. So what's other than that? So that obviously is slightly blocked by other stuff as well. But are you blocked by anything there, or do you need other people to help you, or?
So right now, I've opened the pull request. So if anyone can start reviewing it, I'll update more details in it. It's PR 500. And then I will also need to put more details in there. So that's what I'm working on. If someone wants to pick it up, that's also up to them. But yeah.
And I'll plan on starting to do some review of this tomorrow, at least to get it up and running and basic sanity checks.
I just realized something as well. There was a... We haven't done yet. I need to label the... I need to create the color correct for the do not merge label. Apparently not the right color. Okay, cool. Well, we can talk about this more later, I guess.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I imagine you'll be blocked by some of the dashboard stuff that we're talking about. Actually, no, well, you're not. You can do that before then. I think that's what we're saying, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
cool. Okay, so I guess then this is definitely the one that I just want everything else to fall out of in the current tasks, right? Which is we want to be able to run Kubeflow notebooks 2.0, right? So what's the things that are blocking or not need to happen before this happens? So I just want to quickly look at that epic specifically.
It would be the installation one, right? Like the deployment one, Andy, for front end, back end.
Yes, so we have, so it's the front end Docker file PR. I think we should just merge. I know it's good.
Yeah, let's check. Yeah.
The workload manifest for front end and back end, I got working. I have another developer trying to follow along, and for some reason, the routing isn't quite working for them for some reason with their virtual service. So I had a couple like nitpicky things that I'll not talk on this call about, Matthew, but I can say I got front end and back end with the options Istio overlay working for me. I did not glue it into the central dashboard UI itself, but I basically like hacked Dex to allow grant type passwords so I could have a token to actually see, me calling from outside of kind and it getting routed to either the health check API or serving up the, single page HTML if I go to the workspaces page. So I know that stuff is working. I have some, like I said, I just minor questions on some of the Istio manifests. Name prefix plus the replacements directive is a freaking nightmare across base and overlay, where I don't know how elegantly or how much we care right now to be able to programmatically refer to like the name of the front end service in the Istio overlay when using name prefix. And like the suggestion seems to be to use config map generator, but that seems to be kind of hokey. And so
no. So like the name prefix. So the way we do it in every other app, and Kimonos can correct me if I'm wrong here, is just we hard coded in both effectively, right? We have the virtual service just has the path HTTP prefix hard coded, and then there's an environment. It is configurable in the front end's environment variables. It's just an environment variable though that's hard coded in both cases.
Well, so it's the host path that I'm more interested in both destination rule and virtual service, where you actually give like the service name dot namespace dot service dot.
Oh yeah, that's really painful. Yeah, so like that, unfortunately, is how do we do that right now?
So the places that I've seen other parts of Kubeflow do it, like in Dex, you use the customized replacements directive, but when you're using name prefix, that doesn't work. And now we've said we want to use name prefix. You can't, like, you have like these
Name
selectors
prefix,
and
what is
replacements,
name
but it
prefix,
doesn't
sorry?
support label selector.
What is name prefix? I forgot what we're talking about here.
So here, I'll share again.
But yeah, I'd say once Kimonos has released his thing though, he should be able to help you a lot with Istio related issues. And also specifically with dashboard connections, because they need to know about that really weird JavaScript thing in the dashboard. And since we're now actively doing stuff on the dashboard, I think we can talk about making a less messed up version of that. Where is you sharing or something?
I am. It says I am.
Oh, I can see your screen at the top. Interesting. Okay, let me just stop sharing mine. So
Why do you need to define the host, Andy?
where
every other, I'm new to the virtual service stuff, so everywhere else.
So which host are you talking about?
And I'm very sorry, my contractor just called, so I got to go up and check.
So to be clear, you do need to specify that host, Kimonos.
But when I talk about name prefix, Matthew, we define name prefix and namespace here at base customization, and so then it's at the options Istio overlay that I don't know how to make this clever to do this. because this NB
Yeah, so
dash.
you need to do it with with parameters. You need to do it with customized parameters. I'll show you how to do it later.
Okay, I'll be back in 5 or so minutes. Sorry for the disjointness.
And actually, this affects you, Kumanos, as well, because you need to do the same thing in the dashboard. But if we do what we're talking about, because pretty much the question was that host path is not the host. It's host. That's a service destination, and that is unfortunately how Istio points to where to route the traffic from the virtual mesh. So it's like saying, hey, if I'm receiving on the gateway under path notebooks, I want to route you to the notebooks front end. You know what I mean? Like that's where you need to go to. And the way that Istio tells it to do that is by pointing at the service for the front end. So it does need the full path to the service, which would include the namespace and the service name. See what I mean? It can't do it by label. It actually needs to, because it needs to be an actual cloud DNS, or cloud DNS is the wrong word, core DNS, like the cluster DNS, whatever that is. It needs to actually resolve in there. You know what I mean? Like that's how Istio determines the IP address to use, because it's in the end, it's a config inside of Envoy, right? Like Envoy proxy, which is actually what's running the mesh in Istio. So like it needs to say an IP address that is resolvable on every pod. Well, at least within the mesh pods. Where am I sending this traffic? The user is talking to their browser. The browser is then talking to the Istio gateway. Then the Istio gateway is then a mesh of Envoy proxies, and then those need to know where to send the traffic. So there's many, and in this case, it would be a mixture of, based off prefix, the front end's website and the back end, which is also where, because the user talks to the back end. The front end doesn't talk to the back end. You know, like it's an API, the back end. So it's like, anyway. So all I'm saying is that's what's happening there. So I'll agree that this, what he said, is very important to think about, because it affects both you and both front end, but dashboard and notebooks, which is, if we use that name prefix, it does make it a little bit more obtuse to add the, to actually discover the name of the service. You know what I mean? Like, unless we just hard code it, you know what I mean? Like but then doing that does make it slightly harder to make a Helm chart or a customized overlay for the manifests. But parameters are the simplest short-term way, which is effectively we have a parameter which we then have a variable substitution allowed under the host path of the virtual service. Remember in customize what I mean by that, Monas?
A little bit.
Anyway, you can effectively say that I have got a special like thing that looks like an environment variable substitution, and then you can say under this field of this type of resource, you're allowed to use my special parameter substitutions, which again, we'll do that another time, but talk about it. But I just wanted to highlight that that's an interesting thing we both need to think. Okay, let's get the last one here. Okay, so it is 9, so if people need to drop, they're welcome to. I do want to let anyone else who's blocked by something say something. So is there anyone who's still on the call who's blocked by something? Maybe Polo, maybe others. Are you?
Just want to mention, like, do you have any updates on the workspace edit backend? Yeah,
I'm sorry about that. The last week was just absolutely ridiculous for my timeline. I have not slept in the last 2 weeks. But yes, I will be going through some of those pull requests today. I guess if is there anything that I could tell you about it that would help, or is it just you need to see it to do it?
No, we just I guess like want to see it and use it as a prototype for the workspace kind edit, right? Because yeah,
the only thing to remember is just that it's going to have we haven't finalized it 100%, but it's going to have a field in it which says generation. I think it's going to have the generation, both workspace kind and workspace update APIs will have an element of the payload. Again, the payload is not the workspace kind or workspace itself.
Yep.
It's just an abstracted version. So I guess that comes back to what's the state on the generation of the automatic generation of the front end client? Because that will make it very easy for you to see the parameters that you need to add.
Yeah, for the client, I think Guillermo was working on it, but he already dropped, so I'm not too sure about what the exact update is.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I agree that those things are really important. It was just a bit crazy. So is there anything that you're able to work on before that?
Yeah, right now I'm working on other things that like basically refining the workspace kind view. I'm not trying to play too much with the edit, but yeah, just just waiting on the edit so that we can start doing the workspace kind backend as well.
Cool. Okay. Kumonos, while you're here, I know you haven't probably touched it yet, but you know the dashboard JavaScript thing that allows the iframe to know which namespace is it injects. It's like a known path on root, like slash dashboard slash something. I don't know what it is. What we obviously can't get rid of the existing one, but like, actually that's interesting. We once we've got a release, we can really start thinking about what we'll do in the dashboard, I think, because like I want to get group support, because like for example, notebooks and model registry have group support in their code, but they don't have any way of getting the group based off the namespace dropdown, right? You can't be you can't be assigned a profile right now based off group membership, because the dashboard and profile controller in KFM wouldn't there's no way for the first, like I think we have an issue, you know, an old issue that was on the dashboard, which was like,
but should the group information come from the dashboard or from the request? Just like
so both. It's more like the first layer of the request is I'm a user. I am logged in through some auth system, probably auth2 proxy index, right? Initially, right? So somehow I've got a group there, and then we're using Istio to inject groups header in the same way that we inject user ID. Now, before I even get to making a request to the notebooks, say I'm given access to namespace 1, not based off being a member directly, but by my group being a member of that namespace. You know what I mean? And again, in this case, that means there just being a role binding between my group name and an editor view, you know, the weird one with the consistent label, you know, the one which effectively has the label on the role binding, because the label is the thing that actually determines it, not the content. Okay, for KFAM. And then so right now, there's no way for the front end to even know that it needs to show you namespace 1, because it's only going to be checking your membership from KFAM based off your username.
I have a proposal for this whole group thing from dashboard to KFAM to all of that. So we could start also.
I think we review this proposal I made already. I think I wrote out exactly what needs to happen in terms of all the other apps as well. I don't know if that's the one. It might be this one. Let me check. Because I made one comment where I listed out. Okay, maybe not this one. We need to fix this. There's like I wrote up a.
I have a spec actually never sent, so I can to not just have it on a comment issue. Because we can get some wider comments, since it will affect our components.
It affects everyone, yeah. So I even had a plan though. There we go. It's weirdly it ended up in the manifest repo, unfortunately. Okay, so this is the issue here. I'm just gonna put this in your under here, which is because I think this is once you've got a release, I think the next steps, I'm gonna say like after release, the top step is migrate the OAuth, which is actually connected to this, but it's, you know what I mean, OAuth to proxy and dex OAuth Istio gateway, maybe. Yeah. Maybe. You know what I mean? OAuth through proxy and dex manifest into dashboard repo and sync back into manifests rather than authoring these optional repo. And then the next one is start. I think that's the obvious next step is start work on group support in dashboard. And so like my comment here was this, right? Which was, this is the actual steps that you need to actually do to make that happen. And I'll just quickly so that people know, because it affects everything, is effectively what we need to do is just, my proposal was adding a new role binding, which has a new label called group, which KFAM is aware of. And then obviously we can redo the whole auth structure later, but like just in the short term as a patch, do that. And then the
We had the same proposal. Yeah, it's my proposal was exactly the same. Yeah, and then the dashboard, as you mentioned, to know which profiles to pass you based
And
on.
then the next step, yeah, the next step is to update KFAM
Yeah,
and
yeah,
all
yeah.
work groups and all these other things, which are all insane. Like we should what we should do for the dashboard and its backend is effectively, once we've released Notebooks v2, we can probably just use the Notebooks v2 backend structure to replace and front end structure to replace the way that dashboard is doing its auth. Sorry, doing its dash. You know what I mean? Like, because effectively we've got this very cool backend using controller runtime, even though it's not a controller. So it benefits from all the caching and the other things that come with control. So it's effectively we've hacked into not Kube Builder, but controller runtime, the ability to run a web service effectively into it for dashboard. And so that we get all these benefits of like not making direct API calls so that, you know, it caches them. We also get all the security, rate limiting, all this, so much amazing stuff that, and especially because we're going to be building out a lot of things there. And I think the dashboard is one of the most aggressively called APIs. So it would, and in a very large cluster, efficiently detecting who's a user based off labels really requires caching of all of these, you know what I mean? Like it really requires, and we can add it. And what we should do is, I hate that role binding existence being the source of truth, don't you? Like this is bad. Like it's because there's no alignment here as to like this could be lying, right? These two might not equal each other, so it wouldn't allow escalation, but it might make the UI experience bad. You know what I mean? Like it's like maybe because then what I think maybe then is we should add a label here for like this is one that you should pay attention to or something like that to the controller, and then for those it takes ownership of them and then effectively aligns these two things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's so what I'm saying is that I think do you agree that that's the next step to work on for after the dashboard? Like there's those two things, or is there something else you would think is more pressing?
I think it's a good one, and one we've been discussing for so long, so we could start this one.
And it unblocks the possibility of something that needs to happen for notebooks as well. Oh yeah, and also that's the other thing I said in this I forgot to show is that so we need to update the dashboard. We then need to update the main page's JavaScript and other things to do that. And then I want to put a config under the dashboard which says, does this app iframed support groups? In which case, either show or don't show that app in the sidebar just based off its group support so that we can progressively roll out group support to all the apps. For example, you know, yeah. And then the other factor though that I'm a bit worried about is, are we doing the rewrite in Angular or what the hell's happening? You know what I mean? Like,
I think it doesn't have so much traction.
I do wonder if what we should do is, in the assumption that that work doesn't progress in the next 3 or 4 months, is obviously we're going to be doing this in the old dashboard for now, this one, which is horrible. I hate that we're using it, but whatever. And then I think maybe we should look into using the base of the, I think we should factor out the auth. I think that's the most important thing, to factor out the profiles, not into its own repo or anything, just in the thing, and then effectively consolidate KFAM and profile control and everything into something that looks like the notebook's backend and controller. You know what I mean? Like, so effectively replace it and literally just copy and paste our code, remove all the notebook specific code effectively, right? And then make it control the profile CRD, and we can discuss changes there then. But again, we should aim for backwards compatibility is my proposal there. But the front end, I just don't know. We need people to actually want to do it. And I just don't know if there's any commercial incentive for people to do it. That's my biggest concern there. Like you have to have a company who's, you know, Red Hat doesn't have a reason to. Canonical kind of does, but yeah. Anyway, okay. Because I want a dashboard to be a reference. Like eventually I want to make the auth component of the dashboard not optional. Because we want to, right now we're going to be saying the dashboard is optional for the next version of Kubeflow or whenever we release it. We're going to be saying you can replace it and just use the components of Kubeflow, right, and replace it with your own auth, like everyone's doing. But at some point, we should all agree profiles is required. You know. Okay. In terms of this, let's. Anyone else blocked by things? Oh yeah. So yeah, come on. That JavaScript injection though. that is obviously needs to be there in the new dashboard, but I'm just like a little bit like, I don't know, right? Like we need to document it. I think that's just the most important. I think honestly that's let's put that as the next, that's probably the most valuable thing we can do is just explain to people as if they were integrating an arbitrary app under this page here. Because I don't understand it and I forget it every time. It's just madness, right? It's like, what the heck is this JavaScript that allows, and it also is bugged out as well, to be clear. Like it doesn't link correctly to the outer layer because of scope isolation in Chrome, recent versions of Chrome. So let's add one, I think customize the dashboard. It probably should be under here, right? Which is like, what's it called? Let's just so we don't forget. I think even before this, create a website page that explains the purpose and usage of dashboard for integrators, advanced users. So like one is like dashboard is optional in the sense that you don't have to use Dex or to proxy profile controller dashboard. You know what I mean? And then especially because Kubeflow is marketing itself as a collection of tools. Now, not platform. The upstream Kubeflow. You know what I mean? Like you can sell a platform, it's just not Kubeflow upstream, is what I'm trying to say. Okay, and then the next most important one here is how to integrate the dashboard with new tools. We already have a page for this, but let's but I want to just add one note here, which is this, which is let's add docs about what the heck is it called? Can we remember what the heck what's that path called? It's insane, right? It's like, and it's like no one, it's like history, it's lost to history because components don't get added that often. No, not that one. It's dashboard. I think it's documented here, right? Dashboard lib this, but then unfortunately, because it's an automatically generated package, it doesn't even, strictly speaking, exist, I don't believe, in the repo, right? Like there's, yeah, see? It's like you actually have to search for that.
Yeah, because it generated, from what I remember,
from library. Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Which is where let me just write that about it's like here. Because the only documentation about it is here. Let's add docs runner, which is used for iframed front end pages to know about the dashboard state, e.g. selected namespace. Okay, okay, I don't know what's going on with that. And then I just wanted to link that here. Like only current doc is here. Oh, that's not the link. Okay, and then the lib is generated at build time from, where is it? I just want to link this here. It's from, it's like, this is something that's like almost a systemic risk to the project because it's hard to onboard new apps without this being documented. And also it affects everyone in this call because the front end is going to have to do it as well, right? So where the heck is this library? Do you know, Kumanis? It's
Let me check. Give me a sec.
Source, app, probably under app, I bet. Client. No. I don't like that there's a backend in the front end right now as well for the dashboard. Like, that's what I'm saying. I would love to rip out all of the I want to, you know, in the same way that we rip out.
It's in app. It's in dashboard public library.js.
Mm-hmm. There we go. Perfect. Okay, and that's exactly where it is. Like, let's So what I'm saying is that I think we should let me just actually link that as a less insane link. What I'm thinking is that we should so this is definitely a longer thing as well, but like I want to keep the front end only about front end stuff, right? Like right now we've got the front end proxying code to the back end. We can just have the user directly talk to the back end. You know what I mean? And then because I think the one thing we will factor out is that auth stuff, and as part of that we can just take, because then what happens is we can say that it's a hard requirement that you use that, but it's not a hard requirement that you use the front end. You know what I mean? Like, or something like that, right? You can build your own or whatever you want to do. But it's just like a REST API, and then because right now we have this crazy I think it's mostly under here, right? Like it's no, these are all fine. Oh, I don't know. Oh, yes, this.
I'll need to drop.
Okay, cool. Yep, that's fine. That's fine. Anyway, I just think, so is there any other important things that we want to do after?
And so, sorry, I was in and out today. Before you drop, Kimonos, I know, so we have two different people that have PRs raised. I think that covers your initial plan, right? I think there's, and you know, whenever we have time to merge them, that's irrelevant. I just want to make sure I think we've addressed all of the items on that initial plan. And then I was talking to some developers that were still confusion over Kubeflow versus Kubeflow dashboard. So is like, are we good with just pushing stuff to Kubeflow dashboard with the V2 tag? Is that in your mind kind of locked in at this point?
Yes, and what we discussed, just small blocker there for me to make the first push so we have the permissions for that. But yeah, the names are final, so
okay, I'll make sure to reiterate to developers with those that is where we should be going.
Perfect.
Cool. And do we yeah, and so since we were going really complicated about that label thing, are you confident? So like, I guess you don't need to. So how much change are you going to do is my question, Kimonos. Like, are you going to, for the manifest aspect of this?
To be honest, initially I was planning almost none, just to have the first release.
But I kind of want to have like a delete this and then add this. You know what I mean? Like,
you don't, or you do.
I do. I mean, I would be nice, right? Because then it's like you can never act. Because for people who have just kubectl applied, it's like from manifest, it's like, hey, run this command to delete the old one, and then here's how you make the new one. You know what I mean? It's like, I think that is a nice migration, because you said we want to make a migration guide, right? How do we do that if we don't have that? And then if we're doing that, we might as well use the fact that we can just rename a couple of things.
Yeah, I was thinking of something simple, like have different labels like pod defaults, whatever, for the new pod defaults, and do then the guide as you mentioned, but not go super deep into changing too many manifests to block.
Because, for example, access management, I don't even, and the current upstream manifest for some reason doesn't even have its own manifest. It lives under profile controller, which is why. And the, it's like, because if we go here, oh my God, if we go here, like you start usually from an overlay, right? And then, because like we've got this, right? But what I'm saying is similar to how we have common labels here, this, instead of doing it this way, let's, oh God, I hate this so much actually. Now profile control is also a freaking kube builder based thing. So this is auto-generated in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I wouldn't touch those for now, to be honest. At least for the first release. Maybe on a 3.0 and the next one, yes, but
Yeah,
at least you get
redoing the profile controller with a rewrite, I think, is worth it. It's honestly pretty simple, a controller. So yeah, I agree, you know what I mean? But I'm just thinking, what's the one that has the really crazy? Is it Mission Webhook that has crazy manifests? One of them has
Yeah.
crazy manifests,
What do you mean crazy?
like weird names for every single aspect.
It's this one that I really want to change to be pod defaults. This one will have like labels and whatnot instead of admission webhook, which is super generic. But for the other ones, I wouldn't mess for now with them.
And is the dashboard fine to do the same? Although you see how they're, this is actually how this one's happening.
Right, but I bet if you look at the base customization.yaml, Matthew, they don't define a name prefix there. It's those two pieces that has it fall apart.
This should still be fine.
Like, oh, go to the base, go to manifest base, just
This
humor
will
me.
still work. This will still work.
Just go to manifest base, please. Customization.yaml.
All right, I need to drop. Have fun, folks. We'll see you
Okay.
online.
Thank you, sir. So yeah, so they don't like name prefix isn't defined here. So
name prefix should still work because all this is doing is this is saying.
Look at line 12, right? It's not going to find name.
This is actually getting the namespace, so that's not going to be a problem. But this one is.
Well, no, but it's like the name line, all that the source dot name is a problem when you're using name prefix.
No, it's not. You can literally, I believe you can, as long as the name prefix is also defined here, I'm pretty sure you can just literally use the name that is what it would be without the prefix.
Okay, it wasn't working, but I'll give that one more try.
This is one of those things where sometimes you need to actually look at the customized docs. It also might be
because a lot of stuff, like the stuff I was looking at, talked about config map generators or components, which all seemed way too heavyweight to do that.
I'm just thinking because I did this in the Dex thing, right?
Right, but Dex doesn't define name prefix.
Yeah.
All the examples I found, it's I couldn't find one with name prefix. And the issue is there's no label selectors. Like you have to in source use the name. They don't support label selectors.
Because this is a replacement. I don't even think replacements is a thing anymore, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it is. It is.
Okay. Are you sure you have to select by name?
Yeah.
It just must resolve a single resource. That's all right. So like, yeah, that's fine. Okay, yeah. I'd be surprised if the customize in here if the customize in here had it, that this wouldn't apply to this.
Okay, I'll give it one more try. I was trying a bunch of different things. It might have just been user error. So let me start clean.
This is a real complex thing as well. Like, thinking name. Yeah, I don't know.
And the only other thing I wanted to mention is I noticed like even in those examples that you were showing me, right? If you declare .. base in resources, that means when this overlay runs, all of the base resources get included as well, which like
that's what overlay is. Yes.
That's probably fine, right? That's what other ones are doing versus like the make file target then filtering out the base resources, so you're only applying.
No, that's what I'm. So this is how overlays work. You should. Like the intended like the way that you use customize, at least back when Google originally created the project, and this is that the overlay section
should be the single point of install.
Yeah, effectively, yeah. There's other patterns you could use, but that's just the one that we've used mostly. Yeah.
Okay, cool. No, I wanted clarity on this, so I wasn't like doing a bunch of weird shit. So that's good. So with that insight, let me give this another test to see.
Yeah, I mean, if the name prefix thing really doesn't work, let's see name prefix, see if it's referenced here anyway. It could also be that you're using a version of Customize which is old or something that has.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on 5.7 was what I was testing on today. I upgraded to the latest, but I'd done some work on 5.5 as well, because that seemed to be a significant release that, you know, between 5.5 and 5.3, there was quite a bit that changed.
I'm just thinking, but let's just quickly confirm if there's any other way we could think of doing this. Like, so overlays, custom. No. Something about a bit better service. So another way of doing it is the way that I was actually expecting to do it, which this will definitely work, which is to use parameters. So actually, no, this is fine. var reference. Yeah, this is literally the one that we're talking about. So like because pretty much what this is saying is that this is now a valid the vars field was depreciated. Sure, but interesting. So what did it replace with? Can migrate to the replacements field. So I'm pretty sure the reason it's happening is just because of scoping. So like the definitely like name prefix would need to be. In fact, that's actually where it should be anyway. Like, maybe it shouldn't be, but like, so like name prefix only scopes the things that are in the file that you're currently in. Customize file. Like in the thing, it only applies to resources. You know what I mean? So, and it can be overridden at a sub layer as well. So presumably at a higher layer as well. I guess the question is, it's kind of a complicated interaction, right? It's just like, it should work. This is a very, I'm just thinking, okay, because we used to use vars, but like vars would have worked because you could define a variable that looked at the output of all of the manifests, and it would,
right, yeah, because that's the key, right? It has to be in the build context, not just the raw source.
But like, you know, that almost every part of Customize is literally a transformer. So like, there's only 3 features of Customize. There's like transformers, I think, and generators. There's only 2 things. There's actually only 2 features of Customize: transformers, generators. So literally every other. And obviously base resources.
The nuance is in the order those transformations get applied, right? That's where it gets
or scoping. It's more about scoping.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I'll screw all of this. I'm just going to create a bare bones simple example to get rid of noise of other things just to validate this. But this is good, like I said, because I was doing a bunch of different things and kind of testing this on the side, so I might have just made an obvious mistake. So let me pare this down to a very simple use case.
I'm just going to stop the recording for now, but thanks for coming, everyone. Yep. Oops. Yep.